today I wanted to bring you a review of the Francis Francis Illy Y5 Milk Capsule Machine. The Y5 Milk is made by Francis Francis specifically for Illy. If you've seen some of my other reviews, you'll know that I have the Breville Creatista Plus Nespresso machine and love the Breville. Great machine, love the Nespresso capsules, and wanted to try the Illy capsules. Originally, years ago when I first started into coffee, I was grinding Illy beans in my espresso machine and have since strayed away from Illy and wanted to come back and see what it tasted like. So I purchased this machine on Amazon, wanted to give it a go, and thought I would share some of my thoughts with you after a week of use. Illy has these cans of different espresso and coffee capsules. They come nitrogen sealed, so when you open these, there's actually a foil lining that you would remove and the nitrogen is inside. If you've seen my other Nespresso reviews, or if you have any experience with Nespresso capsules come in these little cardboard sleeves. So a little different packaging here, and these hold about 10 different Nespresso capsules. And for comparison, here's a little Nespresso capsule. These are also sealed as well, and I'll put that there for now. And then the Illy, I've had this about a week and a half and I've actually depleted it. It came with 21 total capsules, and these are the dark roasted 100% Arabica coffee espresso capsules. And again, I only have one left, but there were 21 in here. When it first arrived, it came with a foil seal that you peeled off. And so for comparison, the Illy capsules are all plastic. And they have, it's almost like a little coffee filter is what it looks like. There are no holes. The machine will puncture the capsule once you actually insert it. And in comparison to the Nespresso, it is, as you can see, much larger. These are recyclable plastic capsules, and these are recyclable aluminum capsules for Nespresso. But now that you've seen the Illy capsule and Nespresso capsule, I'm going to go ahead and put the Nespresso away and show you in the packaging. Illy has some coffee capsules. They have 3 different coffee variations. There's a medium roast, dark roast, and decaf. And then they have 10 different espresso capsules, and all of these can be found on Amazon. I'll actually put a link in the description below to both the espresso capsules as well as the Y5 machine. And then inside of the brochure it tells you a description very similar to how Nespresso does it, and you can also find this on the Illy website as well. But knowing that I wanted to give it a go with milk-based drinks, I went for the dark roast espresso. For me, I like a darker roast whenever I mix it with milk. If I have anything lighter than a dark roast with milk, then it's far too mild. So went with the dark. The machine itself, let's take a look at it here. And I have this fully assembled right now. The water container is here on the side. It's about half full. It's relatively small. I did not measure how much it actually holds. Let's see if I can take a look here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up and then see how much it actually holds. Alright, so I filled the water container to the max line, and I'm gonna go ahead and measure it. So it looks like it's right at about 4 cups total. It's a decent amount. It's about half as large as the Breville Creatista Plus water tank. The machine overall is shorter and squattier compared to the Breville Creatista Plus. Now, while I'm speaking about the water tank, unfortunately, the machine does not let you know when you're running low. And if you look inside of the water container, there are no magnets, there's no magic to tell the machine that the water is running low. And sadly, I've experienced midway through a drink that the water container was low because I wasn't paying attention. There is no light in here to illuminate it so that you can really see when the water's running low, and had to dump out the drink that I was making and start from scratch since the capsule was already ruined. Since it had run out of water, I had to redo it all, unfortunately. So I think in this review overall, you're going to find that I have more cons than pros to this machine. I will say my biggest pro right now is the actual coffee, which is a great place to start. It's a fantastic tasting coffee. It's well balanced. And if you are leaning more towards a milk-based drink, and keep in mind, I come from a dark roasted Starbucks type of latte preference. If you're like me and like that dark, bold roast, it's not going to be the boldest taste when you mix it with milk, but it definitely is different, a little more balanced with milk, and a little more bold in milk than an Nespresso milk-based drink is. Unfortunately, since Nespresso no longer has the Cafecito de Cuba capsules that were at a 12 strength, which were my favorite with milk, since they no longer have those, I now use about a 10 strength Ristretto capsule, which are the black capsules. I don't have one to show. The Arpeggio purple capsules are also good, not as strong. But anyway, as far as the machine is concerned, great coffee. But let's get into some of the downsides of the machine. So overall, it's a short, stubby box, and I've actually got a tape measure, so let's see. It measures when the milk is inserted. From front to back, you're looking roughly at about 12 inches. It stands to the top here at about 10 inches. And width-wise, it's about 8.5 inches. Now, if you have a travel mug, you're going to run into issues here. From the countertop to the spout is only 6 inches. My travel mug will not fit under here. Now, this little shelf for your espresso cup is very similar to Nespresso in that it will lift, which is great. You still have to deal with the drip tray. So if you want a travel mug, the entire drip tray would have to come out, which then you wind up moving your capsule waste bin. But the machine will continue to work, but you only have about 6 inches here. So you are limited. My travel mug does not fit. I'm gonna go ahead and put that back in. On this particular model, this is all metal. The capsule is inserted here in the top. And this, once you lock it, will puncture the capsule. I want to point out that the entire top of the machine, this is all glass, and there's no direct heating element here. It is just ambient heat that the machine will pick up. So if you wanted to keep your latte cups or espresso cups, you could. Like that. I do think it is a waste of space. It is a relatively boxy, large machine. This does not heat up fast enough or hot enough for me to really serve its purpose of being here. So I would much rather just eliminate that space and make the machine smaller. The milk container here, I want to talk about a little bit because it's pretty funky. So I want to first remove the milk container and talk about this little gadget. So this is a part of the milk's frothing and steaming system. It actually detaches, and this is all chromed metal. It's pretty heavy duty. And inside you're gonna see there's a silicone type rubber piece that removes from the metal, and then you have another plastic piece here, and this is again all for the milk system. So what happens here in the machine is a little outlet, you can see right there, right there, and that's where the steam will be pushed through to collect the milk from the actual milk container, through inject the steam, heat the milk up, and then push it through the spout here out into the cup. So what happens when this is inserted, it just gets simply pushed in like that, and then this little rubber spout here, let's imagine this is a latte cup, this little milk spout will disperse the milk directly into the cup, and then the espresso will also brew. So every single time you make a milk-based drink, this has to be removed. You have to take this off, and you can actually see there's some milk in there right now. You have to rinse that, and then you can put it back. There is no self-cleaning feature to this machine, which is a complete pain. So once you've cleaned it, then you need to insert it back into the metal housing here, which is pretty straightforward, and then this just slides straight back and locks in. Pretty straightforward. It does get a little spotted and fingerprinted since it is a high polish chrome, so that could be a little frustrating if you're trying to keep it clean. The milk container, again here, you have a pipe for your milk, and then let's try to insert this back to the lid. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get in there. All right, so once you get it inserted back into the lid, you simply install the lid, and then this will slide right into this little male piece right here. So you've got your female of the milk lid and your male, and it's a little funky in that you have to push it. Let me see if we can take a look. So there is nothing that's going to make this a tight seal other than you pushing it as hard as you can. The better seal you have here, the better milk froth you're going to have. So again, this is a bit of a pain to have to deal with. One of the biggest cons that I have, especially if you're in a rush in the morning, is the heat up time that it takes to get this ready. And I actually don't think I've got this seated in here good enough for the milk. Let me try to tighten that. Again, this whole mechanism is problematic. All right, so I had to push this in, or push it out a little bit more so that it should actually stick out of the lid like you see there. So that will make a better seal once you push. So let's take a look at that. So you can see how the silicone rubber is sticking out here. You've got the male piece here, and as you push, there is all of this moves a little bit. So this milk spout doesn't 100% lock in, and nothing is really holding this. So you really need to use some force to make sure it's in tight so that you get some good milk. So again, if you're in a hurry in the morning and you go to turn the machine on, I want to go ahead and turn it on, see how long it takes. I have not timed it. I know it's been long enough that I've been frustrated waiting for it. Unlike the Breville Creatista Plus for Nespresso, that once you turn it on and hit start only takes about 10 seconds to brew coffee. This you have to let it heat up first and then you can brew. So it's currently plugged in back here. I'm going to go ahead, there is a power button located on the back of the machine. And let's take a look at that. So you can see back here, there's a power button. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And start timing it. So what you're seeing right now, there are 6 function buttons. The 2 that are flashing right now, you have a brewed coffee button. Next to that, you have the espresso button. Next to that just turned on, is the hot water button. And since we have the milk container in, you have a cappuccino button that it will light up once the milk system is heated. You have a latte macchiato button, and then you have just a hot milk button. So the beep you heard is letting you know that these 3, hot water, brewed coffee, and espresso, are now ready. The milk ones are not, and so what that's telling me is that something is not seated right with the actual milk container. Otherwise, the machine would know that milk is connected, and it has nothing to do with the milk container here. It has everything to do with this metal piece. So I had to take it out, reinsert it, and now you're going to see the latte macchiato, the hot milk, and cappuccino functions are all flashing. It will beep once it's ready. The original coffee and hot water, that took, I think it was about 30-45 seconds. I actually lost track, unfortunately. These, we've been going about 15 seconds roughly so far. And it will likely take another, so we were about 20-25 seconds for the milk-based drinks. Now, all of these functions are programmable as far as time. There are no heat programs available, but you can program the amount of time for the milk, the hot water, coffee, and espresso. You cannot program the cappuccino or the latte. So if you want more milk or more coffee, you have to manually run your espresso shot and your milk shot in order to get the amounts that you're looking for. And according to the owner's manual, if I can get past the Italian, it looks like the default factory setting for latte macchiato total is about 155 to 160 milliliters. Your factory setting for a cappuccino is 95 to 100 milliliters. And again, your latte macchiato and your cappuccino, you cannot program the buttons for quantities, so those are fixed. You would have to manually brew your shot and brew your milk. Your coffee is 300 milliliters, which you would want to brew in about a 10-ounce mug, according to the owner's manual. Your espresso, it's about 20 to 25 milliliters for espresso. The brewed coffee is about 220 milliliters. Your cappuccino, again, 95 to 100. Your latte macchiato, 155 to 160 milliliters. And your frothed hot milk is about 135 to 140 milliliters. The hot water is pre-programmed at 195 milliliters. So what I want to do is go ahead and make a latte macchiato. The latte macchiato will brew the most amount of milk out of the milk-based drink beverages. And again, that latte macchiato is 155 to 160 milliliters. And I don't have a latte macchiato glass, but I'm going to use this clear glass so that you can actually see what it all looks like. Now, I've been relatively happy with the quality of the foamed milk out of the machine. However, this is completely subjective to how well you have the milk container plugged into the machine. So you could risk an entire beverage if this is not seated correctly in the machine, which can become extremely frustrating. So we want to go ahead and take our Illy Espresso coffee capsule. I'm gonna raise the lid and simply insert it, push down, lock, and then you'll notice when I do touch any of the buttons, an LED light will illuminate the glass, which is nice. So I'm going to use the latte macchiato button up top. It's not just simply a light touch. You need to press with some force. This is a solid piece of glass, but you do need to exert a little force for it to work, which could be a little frustrating to some. So let's go ahead and get it started. So you'll see the LED light has illuminated the glass. And the machine is reheating up again, and this is where it can become very frustrating. So even though it was ready, it's heating up again, and here's our milk. So we've got some good foam, and then the espresso will pre-infuse. And I actually think that it's unique that the espresso will pre-infuse while the milk is still frothing. And so if you see what's happening, I mean, the espresso is just dribbling out. And that started to happen over the last couple of days. I don't know what's going on with that. I didn't really get any separation on the front side. We had a little separation on the back. My concern with the espresso Illy has at 20 to 25 milliliters to me seems relatively small. I did try to brew a capsule. I'm going to reuse the same capsule and just test it into a shot glass. Now these are about an ounce shot glasses, and just see how much it brews. So we'll press the espresso button. And the last time that I did this, now granted this is a reused capsule, but this is how some of the new capsules were brewing. And that's not nearly an ounce. So having had the machine for right around a week, this is what started happening to a lot of my coffee. The first half of the week, the drinks were well balanced between coffee and milk, and now they're really turning into a lot of, I mean, you can see here, I mean, this is definitely not much more than what this brewed. So I'm not going to go through all of the different milk features. This is overall, well, let's actually see what happens if we do hot water. And you'll actually see the machine gets a little messy here. There's some milk. Well, actually the milk, I think, because I didn't have the glass aligned originally, so it was seeping down the edge. So we'll ignore that for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some hot water. Now the hot water, it's nice because this is a separate spout. So you actually have 3 spouts. You have the spout for milk, you have the spout for the espresso, and then you have the spout for hot water. So I still have a cartridge, an Illy Espresso capsule in the machine, and the hot water is bypassing that capsule, which is really nice. So the hot water is working fine. And again, the machine will brew approximately 195 milliliters of hot water. Now we can stop the machine at any point in time. Let me go ahead and start it again. And if I wanted to stop the hot water, just press the machine again, or the button again. So the same goes for milk. So I'm going to just froth some hot milk and pretend that I was going to brew my own manual latte or cappuccino. So I will start the milk feature. The milk has to reheat again. And we'll see if it takes about 20-25 minutes. So it was about, or I'm sorry, not 20-25 seconds. That was about 10 seconds. All right, so here we're frothing our milk, and if I wanted to stop it, I would just press the button again. It will continue to dispense a bit. So you have to take that into consideration. If you were programming these buttons, all you would simply do for the milk or hot water, coffee or espresso is press and hold and then release. But making sure you don't forget that when you do release any of the program functions, that you are going to have that continual dispensing for a few seconds. So make sure you take that into consideration. So there's your milk. So again, over a week, the milk feature works fine as long as you have the container properly seated in the machine. The coffee, I'm not sure what's going on with the capsules. I've gone through probably the last 6 to 8 capsules and they've all started brewing this very small amount. And so not sure what's going on with that. Overall, the coffee is great. I'm very happy with the Illy coffee. The milk is great. The machine, I would like to see this re-engineered, redesigned so that it's not so complex. Every time you want to you're done making a drink, this would go in the refrigerator. You take your beverage, and then you have to remove this. And as I said before, this has to come out, you need to wash it, and then you could reinsert it. There is no self-clean feature to push hot water through this, which would be nice, and then this wouldn't necessarily have to be removed all the time. My biggest concern is when you're in a hurry in the morning, having to clean this, take this off, put it in the refrigerator, push this in, make sure it's seated correctly, and then after a week, only receiving this amount of coffee is an issue. And then what happens is if you want a double shot, well, you've got to wait, it seems like about a minute once you do a milk-based beverage to put in a new capsule, let the machine reheat, and brew another shot. I did want to show you, once you're done making a drink and you lift the latch, then the capsule will automatically be dispensed back into the waste box. So what happens is that this lifts it up and then it falls back behind here. And this will hold about 15 or so capsules. It's a decent size. This drip tray does come off. This is chromed metal. And then there's a little hole here for any liquid runoff. The issue with that hole is that it runs into the drip box. So if you go to dump this into a trash can or a recycle bag, any liquid that came from the drip tray is going to be here in your waste box, and that's going to go right into the bag. Put that back in, put the drip tray metal cover back on, and then once that's clean, again, you would just slide that back on. And if you're going to make another drink, make sure this is pushed back on. I like the chromed metal finish, but as you'll see, just with the little use that I've done, you've already got milk spots, you're going to get fingerprints. The glass up top starts getting all the spots and fingerprints. And if you haven't checked out my Breville Creatista Plus videos, be sure to do so for a good comparison of a different capsule machine. I'd say the best thing that Illy has going for it, at least with this machine, is their coffee. So if you could find another Illy machine, unfortunately they do not have another automated milk system. They do have machines with manual Panarillo steam wands that you can use to steam your milk, similar to the Breville Creatista Plus. And I think it will really boil down to which coffee selection you prefer. As much as I love Nespresso and I love my Breville Creatista Plus, I actually kind of like the Illy espresso coffee a little bit better. For comparison, I wanted to show you the Y5 and the Breville Creatista Plus. You'll see that the Y5 is much shorter. And let me get the tip measure so we can compare the two. The Creatista Plus sits at about 12 inches tall, and like I mentioned earlier, the Y5 is at about 10 inches tall. Now it may seem in the video that the Breville Creatista Plus is a monster, but it actually works well. You have a larger tank, it fits just fine under a cabinet, and you also have more space for a large travel mug. You have, well, it's about 6 inches, and if you remove the drip tray here, you've got about 6 inches. The difference is that because the spout on the Breville is kind of hooked, it's angled, you can fit a cup, a larger cup under there. So the bottom of the spout is not going to be your limiting factor. You actually have about another inch that you could fit the rim of the cup underneath. So that helps. I don't have a cup. Let's see if I've got just a clear glass. Yeah, so that works. So this glass is, let's see how tall. This glass is about 6 inches and a quarter, and you can easily place it under the spout. The Y5, of course you can't put it on the drip tray, that doesn't work. So you have to remove the drip tray, the spout gets in the way. It does fit, it's a little tighter. There's more going on underneath the Y5 between the milk here, the different spouts. Now trying to pull it back out. I actually can't get it back out. So see, that's a problem. So I've got it properly seated where you would want the milk to come out into the glass, the coffee to come out, and the only way to remove it now is to actually lift the machine, and I don't have the milk container here on the side, which would be another issue. So if we had a large travel mug, let's say our milk is plugged into the side, and you've got your travel mug under here. Now we're trying to lift it up to remove the glass, but when you lift it, your whole milk container starts wobbling loose. And you just see how this is just awkward between this piece, the milk container, Again, Illy's got good coffee. I really enjoy it. But in the meantime, as far as functionality, the Breville Creatista Plus machine with the automated steam wand really does take top honors as far as design and usefulness. I will have a link in the description for the Illy Francis Francis Y5 machine if you want to try it out yourself on Amazon. Also the Illy Capsules. Take a look at some of the other Illy machines that are available that just simply brew the coffee, or have the Panarillo for milk. I think you might have some luck trying those out. As always, if you like what I'm doing, comment below, thumbs up, and subscribe. Be sure to check out the Breville Creatista Plus videos that I have that I'll put a link to as well. Until next time, take care.